Hi, my name is Eric Hathaway, high school biology teacher at ICSADDIS Ababa. This is my COETAIL 5 project, whereby I used my social psychology elective, and the grade 10 students did some research and some action projects. Before I look at the research and the action projects with you, I thought I would highlight a project that I did with the same group when I had them in grade 9. We did blog sites inspired by what was happening in the COETAIL courses 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we developed sites to process and communicate about our pretty big trip to Bale Mountains in south of Ethiopia. Let's take a look at these. It took about 5 weeks to get these projects finished, and although there were some fantastic pictures and some writing, kids communicated with each other, commented on their blog posts, but never really felt like the message and what they did got out to the wider world. One of these, however, I went back and looked at this year, and it had 760 something hits. They were the only ones who put the counter widget on it, so I imagine a lot of people learned about Bale Mountains through the blog sites. I modeled this project on parts of the IB extended essay. So the first part, we had to come up with research questions.
What are the different causes of aggression? Go.
What are the attitude and behavior people feel toward an environment they've never experienced?
In what circumstances are people most likely to exhibit prosocial behavior?
What is the link between aggression and media violence?
What stereotypes have led to competition and discrimination between Africans and African Americans?
My research question is how social rejection causes and harbors emotional responses from the rejected people. My research question is, to what extent do disabled people get discriminated from their personalities?
In a situation where there's a person in need, will it take more time for them to get help if there are more or less people around available to help them?
What drives people to discriminate others based on race and ethnicity, and what effects do these actions, whether irrational or intended, have on the targeted groups?
Students had a lot of room to move around in this project, so I do believe that this is the result of their interest. They definitely had a high level of interest and, in some cases, some real passion. The student and myself drove the talk time, but the students drove the work time. They figured out how they needed to spend their time to get the job done, and they figured out how they needed to use technology to get those jobs done. One difference was that I had insisted on everybody using Twitter to communicate ideas.
So I have made a video of my experiment, which pretty much just kind of observes the reaction of the individual as I'm doing the experiment and gauging their emotions and reactions to, for example, hearing the answers of the other participants. And I'd like to send that out on Twitter, and as I've been taking observations on that reaction, I'd like other people to also give their reaction or their analysis of what they think the reaction of the individual was. And I'd like to use that information to further my experiment and further my understanding of my topic.
I thought Twitter was a really interesting social media that we used because I never used it before, and I thought it was just like a site where friends talk about things and everything, but it was really useful for me to recommend things to others and write my research stuff on there. So yeah. I think that's it.
Okay. Any specific examples or?
Asha put her experts on there, and it was really useful because my expert was from ASHA. So
Okay. And you were able to get information
yeah,
from?
I got a lot of information from that.
Do you want to go further with that?
Kendra, her name is Kendra, and she was basically my idol, I guess. So
A mentor, maybe?
Mentor, yeah. Not idol. Mentor, yeah.
Okay, go.
Google Doc was the most useful and new technology that I've used during this research. It had many useful perks. For example, citing websites right into the document just by using the search button right next to the whole document. Just press cite and then you direct it where you want to cite it. It's made everything so much easier. Its sharing has become easier.
In what way did you find sharing in the use of Twitter? The Google Doc and Twitter combination.
Well, Twitter, it has a limit on what you can write and share, like straight onto the text bar. But here in the Google Doc, you have this website that you just copy paste onto the Twitter text, and then anyone can visit it as long as you enable it to be viewed by other people. So it was a new experience. It was good. It's gonna help me out in life. Thanks.
So in the US, I asked my cousin to film some of her friends or some people about Africa or Ethiopia, and I wanted to learn their answers, and mostly they gave answers that were stereotypical, and I made her send the videos here, and I was gonna put them together with the videos I took here. I took videos of Ethiopians here, and I learned about their opinions, about the opinion they feel in the U.S. They have on the U.S.
About the cultural things in
Yes.
the U.S.? Okay. And what about the American perspective? Were you looking for anything particular?
I wasn't looking for something particular, but most of their answers were the same.
Like what?
Well, they didn't think we had cars or houses, so yeah.
Right. So cultural perceptions.
Exactly.
Thank you.
The assessment for this project was one final written paper that included a summary of how they had presented to the world or to each other or to me. Some of the ways the kids chose to create and display their understanding and learning were through the creation of MP3s, linked to Twitter, PowerPoint, videos of a live presentation, also linked to the Twitter, and a few blog sites were created.
During my presentation, Mr. Hathaway recorded me so I can post my video up online in discussion forums going on about the same topic. I can also post it on my Twitter, and my followers can also view the video of me presenting live just in case I missed it or couldn't come, which is also a great use of technology.
So are you thinking about doing that, or you haven't made your mind up yet?
I think I'm going to do it. I just have to get my iPod cable for next class.
Right. Thank you, Afshana.
No problem. Thank you.
For me, one of the standout projects was Weijong Wang's look at how disabilities cause reactions in others. She went to the Korean hospital in Addis Ababa, and she interviewed patients who were currently receiving treatment. Wonderful, wonderful project by Dr. Einar Eriksson, the Children's Burn Care Foundation. She took and packaged these profiles of her interviews together, and I linked them to the website that I have created for our charity walk and run, and shared them with Dr. Einar Eriksson, and he is going to link them to the main website for the Children's Burn Care Foundation. Some real authentic product. And finally, I ask for feedback from the students about what kind of technologies that they would recommend that are used in their classes. This is Clara, and this is what she had to say.
So, I chose Twitter for us to use. Would you recommend any other technologies to use in classes?
Well, you could also use Tumblr, which is basically like Twitter, except it has mostly photos instead of posts. And I think it's a lot more visual instead of Twitter that you can only write stuff.
Okay. Does that appeal to you, the images and I don't know, art or anything?
Yeah.
Okay.